Mac guys here on Birds 365 Football Friday. It is Chris Franklin time from NJ.com. Chris, thanks for coming on WIP with me the other night. I kind of
wow.
I
didn't know
poached
that.
Chris for a WIP appearance.
Nice.
I tried saying for Birds 365, but I had some specific question for him, so I had to get him on WIP. Thank you for doing that for me. Here's my first specific question for you today. We've got everybody else to weigh in and on over the last couple of days. 3 options for Nick Sirianni on Sunday. Number 1 is rest everybody. Don't take a chance. Bad turf. MetLife Stadium. Realistically, are the Giants going to beat the Cowboys? Probably not. Take your 5, 6 best guys, mostly veterans. Younger guys, probably you go a little bit. Maybe it's a preseason feel, series or 2. Get a run in, get them the hell off the field. Or try and find a compromise position. Play them. Keep your eye on the scoreboard. Washington and Dallas are competitive. You keep playing them. Washington is falling behind by 3 touchdowns. Get the hell out. Or, no, we have to get back to the 2022 Eagles status. And we know we can only achieve so much against the Giants. But whatever it is, we need it. We need to win a game convincingly, get our confidence, our swag, our mojo back. Between those 3 choices, if you were Nick Sirianni, how would you play it?
I'm turning option number 2 because when I look at the way that what can happen, there's so much things that can still go on. You still get a home playoff game as crazy and as asinine as it sounds at times with this team and that, you can still get a home playoff team. So I think you still need to you still need these guys to get in the groove, especially the defense. I think you need to get them getting enough confidence as they go along and to gel and fix a lot of these holes and the issues that they have, especially in the run game, so they can know, hey, you know what, on this day I can do this, on this day I can do that. And so play those guys. If you look up at the scoreboard and it's the second quarter and it's like 27 to nothing, and it's like, yeah, all right, guys, we'll still play you probably a half, and then after we pull everybody out, get some other guys experience. But yeah, option number 2 for sure.
Yeah. As long as that number 2 seed is possible, you got to keep playing and then sort of, waver depending on what Washington is doing. And it's still, it can't be a full-time preseason environment because you don't have 90 players. So certain guys have to play. But I will say we haven't talked about this enough. And hat tip to my buddy Pat Leonard from the New York Daily News. He just tweeted, the 2023 Giants offense has allowed 83 sacks, the second most in NFL history. They score 14.9 points per game, which means they could finish under 15 points per game in the first season since 1979 for the New York Giants. That's a roundabout way of saying that offense stinks. If this defense can't stop that offense, we talk about getting your mojo, getting your confidence back. It could go in the other direction. It could get worse. And they could have less confidence if they're giving up. Hey, Tyrod Taylor moved the football pretty well when he replaced Tommy DeVito at Lincoln Financial Field. It could even be worse, couldn't it, Chris?
I think it's one of those things where if you get an injury so much, you hit it so much, you get numb. I think they get used to it if they get the Giants start to run the thing a little bit. I kid on that part, but when you look at it, I don't think it'll affect them that much. I don't think it'll change their confidence that way because I think it's probably right now it's judging by some of the faces like after they're walking off the field on Sunday against the Cardinals. I don't think it's all nowhere else to go but up. I think to me, Sunday's probably rock bottom in terms of the way that defense played, and especially given the team that it was. I know everybody's saying, well, the Cardinals are the best 3-win team we've seen in a long time. Well,
and
what does that mean? Like, you're 3 wins? Like, come on.
Gannon knows the Eagles. Everybody leaned on that. Well, he knows
it's
us.
Like, come on. I hate that saying, like, it's the best 3-win team. You guys got 3 wins. There's a reason they have 3 wins. Like, it's not that effective. So that's one of those things where I'm like, you know what? Nah, it's much as bad as it sounds. Like, even if the Giants run up and down the field from them, there's no way. It's still nowhere up for up because that was rock bottom last week.
And by the way, the very specific off topic. We'll get back to Eagles in a second. I'm rooting not only for the Miami Dolphins to beat the Buffalo Bills, but the Buffalo Bills to somehow fall all the way out of the playoffs, because I got so tired of the team you don't want to see in the playoffs is the Buffalo Bills. Watch out for those Buffalo. Nobody wants. You got to actually make the playoffs to be the team that nobody wants to play in the playoffs. So the Bills still are eligible to not even make the playoffs. At least the Eagles are already in. All right, but they are. And they're going to play the Giants this week, and you've got your way handling. I got mine. John's got his. Yours is kind of in the middle between mine and John. That would be like you're willing to pull guys depending on the scoreboard, but you're keeping them in there for at least a period of time. I'd keep them in throughout. If I'm not getting my mojo back, I got to keep them in until I do. So you're in the middle, a good, comfortable spot. And then the results are going to come in, and the Eagles are going to be playing who they're playing. Is it going to be Tampa? Tampa going to beat Carolina? Is it a foregone conclusion that for the second time in 3 years they're going down to Tampa to play a first-round playoff game?
I think it. I'm 80% there. I am. I just look at the Panthers they stink. They stink, but then there's same Panthers that beat the Falcons.
Yeah,
at
but
home.
they're the best one-win team in the National Football League.
I'm waiting for that narrative to happen. Look at this, they can change thing. I'm waiting for that narrative.
Yeah. Well, they got to be the best because nobody else does it.
Yeah, it's so bad, but that whole division is so bad. But I think the only saving grace is that the only thing that's saving grace for the Eagles to look at is the Cowboys are bad on the road, not as good as on the road as they are there. And
yeah,
Commanders beat them beforehand.
I would hold out hope because I mean I think they're 3-5 on the road. I mean,
yeah, they are. Yeah,
they've been bad on the road. So
that's the only thing. It's still open. It's like, Lloyd, you're saying there's a chance. Yeah, there's a chance, but it's there.
Well, yeah.
When else end up, we're down.
I'm holding out hope for a different reason than most Eagles fans, and you know.
Oh, I'm with you on that one too.
I want a home game. I want
a home game. That's the one.
So it's very important to me as well, just for different reasons. But AJ, it was AJ week because AJ came out of his the darkness, his personal darkness, and spoke after a 2-week interval. And most people went down the route, and I think he handled it very well. But boy, I got to tell you, Chris, and I want to get your thoughts. And I purposefully didn't ask you live because I wanted to do it on the show. The improvisation. Is it just a word he used? Is that a normal audible, or is that a bigger deal? Is he and Jalen out there freelancing? Why isn't that a bigger thing? Because that's what I took from AJ's talk, and I went, "Whoa, that's probably not a good thing that's happening."
Yeah, if it's something where it's more and more happening, I know there's checks in the offense where you can just give a little signal and just go, "Okay, you're running to go out, all right, fine." Yeah. And that one too, but if it's happening more to the point where we're wondering, like, why are they calling this play here and there? What the heck is going on? I don't think it's one of those things where Jalen's going, you know what? I need to pay my stats. I'm keeping the ball. Let me go run a quarterback draw on third and 20. And it's like, what the heck is going on?
It's not Varsity Blues where they're actively not listening to Coach Kilmer. Is it?
Thank you very much for giving me Billy Bob, Landon Dickerson vibes. I appreciate that. But no, it's not on that one. I don't think it's one of the things. I just think it's one of those things where you're looking at them and they're probably going like, all right, I want to make a play. Okay, fine. All right, I think we can make this play too. I think it's there because we're on a 1. And sometimes that was a hubris thing. I think, especially against the Seahawks, where you're like, that was the one. Like, I'm all for getting AJ the ball downfield. I think that was the one where the check down should have happened. It should have been like that automatic vectors. You don't have to throw it in that situation. You can always do AJ in that situation, go somewhere else. So I think if it's continuing to go throughout games and key situations, then I have some worry there. But I think it's one of those things where I think they look at 2 minutes like or less and they go try and make a play and try and get them out the doldrums.
If A.J. Brown gets the ball more in this game Sunday than he has of late, which I think we can all agree, we're kind of surprised he hasn't gotten as much of late as he did when he was on that streak of, was it 7 consecutive? 6? How many games in a row do you have a $125?
6. I think it was 6.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was 6.
So, and since then, not near as much. If he's going to get it that much more this week, will it be because Devontae Smith's not playing. A.J. Brown is A.J. Brown, and he did the right thing, and he helped the organization off the field by saying what he said and taking Sirianni's back. So Sirianni gets in Brian Johnson's ear and goes, get it to A.J. Or he gets in Jalen's ear to get it to A.J. Or do you think that has no effect whatsoever on the amount of balls that go to A.J. Brown's way this week? Do you think his stance has any effect on how much the ball comes his way?
I think it's one of the things where Devontae's not 100%, and even if he plays or if he doesn't, they're going to just. I think Devontae might be a decoy. I don't think they risk it too much. We want to put him in too much of a situation, even if he plays or if he sits out and then you have like Julio on the outside. I think it's going to be an increase. Just go with the guys who's got you there. They say, continue to say the offense runs to 3 guys. We've heard that ad nauseum at times, but they say it's going to be AJ. I think it's going to be an AJ game and a Dallas Goedert game, and it'll try to get the ball into those guys as much as they can through the air. I don't know how much it's going to be depending on those wind gusts they're talking about, but I don't see that many stuff on there. But I think it's going to be one. I don't think that what he said there in addressing us on Wednesday was one of those things where, okay, now we got to get him the ball now. I think it's just one of the things where the game plan's going to have to dictate that by the personnel that's going to be available. So,
speaking about Devontae and his health, Chris, Nick mentioned something on Wednesday that kind of surprised me at least a little bit, and that was that Julio Jones is still on a pitch count. And they brought him in October 17th, so it's been a while. So is he just on a pitch count because he's 34? What is going on there? Because if Devontae Smith can't play, and he hasn't practiced yet this week, we all know how tough he is, and he might show up at practice today and be ready to go. But it's kind of risking him on that turf. You brought it up. The players bring it up, the MetLife turf. It's questionable to try to push things there more than maybe other places in the NFL. You don't want to see Quez Watkins out there again. I know Jody doesn't.
Jody, what do you think about Quez Watkins?
You know what? You know what? Quez will get a nice 40-yard catch this week. Devontae's not playing, and he'll drop 2 other balls. But Nick Sirianni will come out and say, see what Quez does for us? He stretches he makes it easier for the one. And the farce will continue.
I was about to say, what happened to the real Jody at first, but then it came back and like, all right, go there. It's cool. That's good. But I look at it, it's like, I got this. I lost my train of thought. Well, no, but I look at it as one of the things.
Coaches look, if the littlest sliver comes to get Quez back in and take his back, the coach will do just that, which will be a mistake.
But the Julio, I think his knee. I think he showed up. They just want to push it too much on that too. When he showed up 2 or 3 weeks ago with the on the thing. So they're like, we want to get the most out we can out of him, but he's a veteran guy with an issue. I don't think they want to push it too much in the fact in that matter. So I think that's why he was. Why not more?
We just had Damo on, the king of 12 personnel. Yeah. Jalen's numbers are absurd when they're playing 12 or 13. 19 of 20 over the past 3 games passing the football, Chris. Why do they keep pounding the square peg in the round hole, so to speak, by trying to get that third receiver on the field? Why not more Grant Calcaterra? I'm on that bandwagon. Hey, give Grant a chance. Obviously, Jack Stoll's going to be part of it, but Jalen has been very effective when they have that personnel on the field, whether it's, the opposing defense not paying attention, this, that. Why not keep going to that well?
Because it looks like you're going more toward the run, and you balance. To me, 12 for 12 is more of a run type personnel, and it's actually effective. That means they have to basically surrender to the fact they're running, and how much they want to throw a ball as much. So and that brings up another thing too, because I know Grant's good. If they're going to use 12, why isn't Zach Ertz here? If they're going to use it as much as they could, they can use Zach Ertz. So that's a whole other argument for that. But when you look at that,
by the way, Zach has still not signed anywhere, to my knowledge.
Yeah, which is red light.
Crazy.
crazy. But yeah, when I look at the 12 personnel, they need. I like it. I think it's more of a balance, and I think if they use the pistol out of that 12 a little bit more, it keeps teams guessing because you get the second one. I know they like to use a third option. I wouldn't be surprised if this game, especially with if Devontae doesn't play, they use more 12 because that way it keeps everything balanced. You can still get the threat of the run. You can effectively use play action off of it, and especially if you put DeAndre Swift or Kenneth Gainwell 7 yards back where an actual thing, you let them run downhill. I think that's what this offense can be really, really effective at. And I don't understand why they use. I know it's probably more because they want to throw the ball in the option for the screen passes in that RPO game and everything else with the 11 personnel. But two tight ends is not a curse word to say two tight ends. What? Oh, well, I'm still here. I don't know, but yeah, I think that's why it's more effective in that way.
All right, for those of you watching the stream live now, you might want to turn the volume down for a couple minutes. For those of you watching on YouTube after the fact, you might want to fast forward ahead a couple of minutes.
Oh no!
3 names: Chris Franklin, Jason Kelce, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham. Was last week's Cardinals game at Lincoln Financial Field the last home game that Jason Kelce, Fletcher Cox, or Brandon Graham will ever play?
I think so. Because
3 for 3, or are you breaking down percentage wise?
I think for Fletcher Cox, maybe not as an Eagle. I think it's that one. I think
Jets wanted him really bad.
Yeah, I think he's still that one too. Just looking offhand, when you look at Jason and BG, I think this might be their last go around, like last games in the NFL. I just get that feeling. I have no knowledge. This is all speculation. I have no inside knowledge.
I'm gonna take the other. It's not because the Washington Commanders are gonna upset the
That's
Dallas
why I
Cowboys.
paused. That's why I paused. I'm thinking. I'm just like. And then I'm thinking,
I'm trying. That's my vision board. That's my vision board to get a home.
You and Sam, you and Kratz boy with Sam Howell coming up big.
That's my vision board to get a home game because I don't want to go.
And that's the one they hung around with San Fran for a while. They hung around with them until they got the doors beaten off them in the second half. So at the same time, like I could see it. I could see. That's why I paused. I could plausibly see it happen, but I'll take the safe bet and say now they're going on the road, and then
either way, I do think it might be it for Jason. Finally, he's got so much stuff going on. Although I've been bitten by this in the past, I think he's got so much stuff going on. He enjoys it, but who knows? And it'll be. I don't think that got as much play because I don't think people realize that might be the last game they ever play at Lincoln Financial Field because things had been going so well in this season. You're thinking about the playoffs. You're focused on the playoffs. I will say this. If the more likely scenario, Chris, is they're going to be the 5 seed. They're going to have to go on the road. It's probably going to be Tampa. If it's not Tampa, it's going to be New Orleans or Atlanta. Any reason to think they can't win that game, even that it's on the road. I mean, those are not great teams.
The one team, the Saints, will be the one that would concern me. And I say that because I look at the way Alvin Kamara, if you get him on the edge, I know he's not the Alvin Kamara of years ago, but if you get him out on the edge, like I think the Cardinals showed something they really showed that if the way that the team running on that edge play, that stretch play, is a way you can really avoid. You can avoid that the Eagles' interior defensive line, and you can attack them and get yards. James Conner ate up on I think 74, 78 of his 100 yards were on the edge. He's also
physical. He's a lot more physical than Kamara, so he's breaking tackles down the field as well.
And then you have the other one you have is the saving grace here is Derek Carr. You hope he doesn't remember his car was in the back of his name and he's going to throw a turnover. So I think that's another way too. So I look at that and I think it's something where I think they're winnable games to me. But I look at the New Orleans one I think they're the worst one because their defense is actually pretty good too.
Yeah.
And I know you got Todd Bowles, and Todd Bowles can scheme up some stuff with Tampa. But based off what we saw earlier in the season, with the way that the Eagles played Tampa. I know it was early and it was eons ago. I think I feel more comfortable with the Eagles matching up against them, despite the New Orleans. New Orleans, the one. I think even the Eagles win that. It'll be ugly, but I think the Eagles win that game too. But it'll be tough.
All right, Christopher, your tag team partner there at NJ.com. We know quite well Bob Brookover wrote an interesting article this week about Saquon Barkley taking his talents south on the turnpike to Philadelphia next year. Could Saquon Barkley do for the Eagles what Christian McCaffrey did for the San Francisco 49ers to take them to another level? Now, we know Howie's overall evaluation and valuation of running backs and the like makes it highly unlikely. Is it 0%? Could Saquon just say, if he puts aside, which again, very, very unlikely, money is not necessarily an object, but he wants to take a shot at the Super Bowl, sees that more of a possibility playing with Jalen Hurts than with Danny Dimes or Timmy Cutlets or whoever other you want to throw there at quarterback for the New York Giants. 0% chance that Saquon becomes an Eagle, or are you going to go a little bit more than that?
With Howie, you can never go zero because it'll be the one time. No, the only time you can ever go zero with Howie is taking a linebacker in the first round. That's it.
And or Ryan, man. Even that, he would have took Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, you're right. So, you're being judicious. I went 0, and I'm sticking with my 0. I'm sticking with my 0. 0%. Chris is savvier, though.
I think it's more like 10 or like 15, 20% less.
Whoa. What are we saying? We're up in double digits? No.
I would say that because I don't think it'd be big money on that one too. I think where they structure contracts so in a way that they can make it affordable. Like if he came available, he's like, I only want to play for the Eagles. And Saquon's like, I doubt that because
will he take the veteran minimum? Then I'll readdress my exactly.
And also, the Eagles, the New York papers will kill him if he went to a rival, or especially went to the Eagles. Yeah. So I think he's worried about his legacy of New York. So
by the way, and I'm not blaming Bob or Jody or anybody else, but can we please stop comparing people to Christian McCaffrey? Can we please? Saquon Barkley, like you've just brought up Alvin Kamara, they are great receivers as running backs. Same as Bijan Robinson. I would get in this conversation leading up to the draft. Stop comparing people to Christian McCaffrey. Just stop it. To everybody.
Saquon can. I think he can run the whole entire route tree. If you put him out there, I think the Giants haven't done it because they know what he is. But I think you put him out in the slot.
He's a great receiver for.
All right, then John McMullen, I'll ask you this question: Christian McCaffrey, numero uno. Number 2 is.
No, I'm not talking about running backs. I'm talking about the style of player. See, the problem with Christian is, and it said, and Chris is a big draft guy. There were scouts saying he ran when he came out of the draft that he ran better routes than the receivers. That he can play receiver. You could change him and Deebo Samuel.
You went there. I'll repeat my question. I asked, could Saquon Barkley do for the Eagles what Christian McCaffrey did?
No.
Okay.
That's my point.
Then if Christian McCaffrey is number 1, who's number 2?
There isn't.
If there is no comparison, who would be the closest? Who is the closest in proximity to Christian McCaffrey?
Once in a generation means once in a generation. Why the Eagles were going to draft Christian McCaffrey, we're getting in our weekly fight with Chris playing mom and dad are getting in a fight. But 2017, the Eagles were going to draft Christian McCaffrey in the first round. People don't believe that. They don't have to believe it. They were going to draft him if he fell. It turned out he didn't even get close. And the reason was because of that receiving ability. Nobody brings the same skill set to the position. That's why once in a generation is once in a generation. And that's why the Eagles have a Pro Bowl running back who's a great receiver as a running back, and they don't use him as a receiver. They're not, unless you get the generational player. No, and even Christian McCaffrey at this stage, they wouldn't pay him. Even at this stage, they wouldn't pay him what he gets paid. So no one. There is not a number 2. They will
see this. This is where you and I get on a different thing. Are you giving me John McMullen's opinion, or are you giving me the Eagles' opinion here?
I'm giving you both. I'm giving you both.
Okay, you add them together, and they sound like they're your opinion, because it's our show. It's John McMullen and Jody McDonald. And a lot of times when you talk about what the Eagles would do. I didn't ask you what the Eagles would do. I asked you what John McMullen would do.
Oh yeah, there's no number two. There's no number two. And that's why I said stop comparing people to Christian McCaffrey. Not you specifically. I'm telling everybody, stop it. There are no other Christian McCaffreys. He's a generational player. There is no. Saquon Barkley's a great running back. Bijan Robinson's got a chance to be a great running back. They're not Christian McCaffrey. They don't have the same skill set from a receiving standpoint. Now, if you want to talk about runner, there's a number two, but not as a whole, not as a player that what he brings to an offense. That's my opinion. The Eagles' opinion should be self-identifiable for everybody of what they believe at the running back position. They now have a Pro Bowl running back for the second consecutive year, and they ain't the same guy. And they might have a Pro Bowl running back next year, and it's probably not going to be the same guy because DeAndre Swift has played pretty well, and he might get a decent payday as a free agent. Chris?
And if that's what it comes down to, it'll come down to it because Jalen's back running the football, and that will make the running back du jour, who is the Eagles starter next year's job, that much easier. You see that when you've got Jalen Hurts as the guy who is your biggest compliment to the running game, makes your life easier. Did it for Miles, did it for DeAndre this year.
Yeah, I'll go off the board and say that their next running back is played his last college game, and they can have a cost-controlled option next year.
Yeah.
Especially
yeah,
that.
And I held Damo's feet, so I'll hold yours to the fire too. In round what will that running back be drafted?
I'll say round four. Round four.
Day three, baby.
He said
day three.
Damo said day three.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. All right, cool. I'm with Damo.
Yeah, you're good.
Right,
you and Damo are on day four. All right, Chris Franklin, we need you on the record. And I know this is a completely unfair question. If you haven't learned by now, we ask unfair questions here on Birds. So I'm not going to shy away from that now. Not knowing how many starters, what starters for what length the Eagles are going to be playing their players against the Giants on Sunday. Still need a prediction on the final score from you.
I think it's going to be the Eagles finishing off on a high note, and it's going to be a 24-16 win.
Nice.
And it's going to be one of the things where everybody's going to be watching in the locker room because I think that game's going to be over just a little bit because there'll be so much running. And the Cowboys pull off something in the last fourth quarter and they take away, so we're all headed.
That could be close. Hanging in the balance till the fourth quarter, huh?
And nobody will be more upset than me if the Commanders have a chance to win that game and don't come through.
And we'll hear the groans all the way from the locker room when we're all sitting in there outside waiting for everything to be decided on that one. I think it's going to be one of those close games.
So the Eagles then earlier, the Cowboy game takes a little bit long. So they make good time. Be careful coming off that MetLife turf. John McMullen makes it sound like you're risking your life anytime you go on.
It's not me. It's the players. Tell them, Chris.
They all hate him.
It's not me. What do I care? They're the ones who are telling me.
They all hate it. There's one in particular. I won't say the name, but there's one in particular who says basically he is I'm paraphrasing here, is the bane of his existence. They hate it. It's like the
is he wearing jet green or giant blue, or is he visiting there once a year?
He's visiting there once a year. Well, twice this year. Twice this year.
That's true, because they had to play the Jets there too. All right.
At C Franklin News, make sure you follow Chris on Twitter/X. Read him at nj.com with our buddy Brookie as well. Jody brought him up, even though I disagree with the Saquon Barkley take. But that's fine. That's what we do.
Fighters to your corners. Fighters to your corners.
You almost got through a whole segment without fighting it.
Sorry, I lose every time. I was like, "Oh, this is fun." So I'll just keep looking back. It's fun.
C. Franklin, safe trip up the turnpike. Thanks so much for hopping on with us today.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
NJ.com is where you find Chris Franklin and all of his fine writings and works. All right, McDowell coming back. Chris has got the Eagles winning and covering, by the way. Eagles a 5 to 5.5 point favorite, depending on where you're looking at it. At least it's down from the double-digit favorites they've been the last couple of weeks. Only 5 or 5.5. Chris has got them winning by 8, so he's got them covering. Johnny Mac and I will come back, and again, putting a qualifier out there ahead of time. Who the hell knows? We don't even know who's going to be playing or for how long they're going to be playing, so we are absolutely throwing darts at a dartboard here. But you come back and get a Mac dart next here on Birds 365.